Remember when life felt more real? The food tasted better. People had time, and neighbors felt like family. Back then, things weren't perfect, but they were deeply human. And sometimes it's not just nostalgia. Some things from the past really were better, but we didn't know it while we were living there. We only see it now, looking back. Today, life moves fast. We scroll instead of speak. We text instead of touch. And we often trade meaning for convenience. This video is a gentle invitation, not to live in the past, but to remember what made it beautiful, and bring a few of those things into today. Here's what's coming. You'll rediscover 10 powerful things that made life better. Back then, from sitting down for meal to handwritten letters, to neighborhoods that actually felt like home, each one carries a memory and a message we still need today. So as you watch, allow yourself to feel. If something stirs your heart, say it in the comments. And if it reminds you of someone, share this with them. You never know what a small memory can awaken. Ready? Let's begin with the first one. And if you've ever missed the simple joy of dinner at the table with family, this one's for you. Thing 1, sitting down for meals together. Coming up next, a forgotten ritual that once held families together, and still can. There was a time when meals weren't just about food. They were about connection. No phones, no screens, no rushing. Just a table, full plates, and people talking face to face. Breakfasts before school, Sunday lunches after church, dinners where stories were shared, laughter echoed, and sometimes even tough conversations were had. It wasn't always fancy. Sometimes it was soup and bread, but it was sacred. It was together. Today, many people eat alone. Even in the same house, everyone's on a different schedule, and we've lost something deeper than just the mealtime. We've lost a sense of belonging. But here's the truth. Sitting down for a meal together, even once a week, can rebuild bonds. It slows time. It invites real conversation. It reminds us that we're not just surviving the day, we're sharing it. And no, it doesn't have to be a big family. You can share a meal with a neighbor, a friend, even just with yourself, with the TV off in a moment of silence or prayer. Because when we sit down with intention, we remind ourselves, I matter. This moment matters. So maybe this week, invite someone, set the table, warm the food, and see what returns to the room. Not just sound, but soul. Up next, a way we used to connect from miles away, and why it meant more than any message ever could. Thing 2, handwritten letters. Coming up, a slower kind of message that left a deeper mark, one envelope at a time. There was a time when we waited for the mail like it held treasure, because sometimes it did. A birthday card with a handwritten note, a love letter from across the country, a long update from a friend we hadn't seen in years. Letters weren't instant. That was the beauty of them. They took time to write, time to read, and time to feel. The handwriting, the ink smudge, even the envelope. Each piece was personal, tangible, real. Today we send messages in seconds. They disappear in seconds too. But a letter, you could hold it, reread it, keep it tucked in a drawer for decades. Many of us still have a box somewhere, full of those paper memories. Proof that someone cared enough to pause, sit, and put their heart on paper. It wasn't fast, but it was full of meaning. And no, it's not too late to bring that back. You don't have to write pages, just a small card, a thank you, a thinking of you. Send it to a friend, a grandchild, even yourself. Put it in the mailbox and give the world something real again. Because words written by hand don't just carry ink, they carry soul. Coming next, something powerful we used to do, with our mouths, not our thumbs, and how it kept us truly connected. Thing 4, taking time, not rushing. Coming up, a slower rhythm of life, and why we still need it now more than ever. There was a time when life wasn't always urgent. We didn't measure every hour by productivity. We walked instead of raced, waited instead of demanded, cooked instead of microwaved. We didn't check our watches every 5 minutes, because we weren't trying to squeeze life in. We were trying to live it, whether it was waiting for bread to rise, taking a Sunday drive with no destination, or sitting quietly by the window as the rain fell. There was time, and that time, that slowness, gave us space to think, breathe, and feel. Today, everything is fast. Messages, meals, expectations, even grief. But speed often leaves meaning behind. What if the answer to a more peaceful life isn't doing more, but simply doing less, more slowly? You don't have to change the world. You just have to change your pace. Take time to eat without screens, to sit without guilt, to call someone without checking the clock. Because life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And when you slow down, you start to feel the music again. Up next, a place that once felt like an extension of your own home, and how much we've lost since it disappeared. Thing 5, strong neighborhoods and communities. Coming up, a time when you knew your neighbors and they knew you. Once upon a time, a neighborhood wasn't just a place you lived. It was a family of strangers who looked out for each other. You knew the names of the folks on your street. You borrowed sugar. You watched each other's kids. If someone was sick, food showed up at their door. If a car broke down, someone came to help. No questions asked. There were block parties, sidewalk chats, porch visits, and even when you didn't agree, you still cared. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And it gave you a sense of safety, belonging, and connection. Today we live closer, but often feel farther apart. We wave from the driveway maybe, but do we know the people who live right next to us? Community doesn't have to be big. It just has to be human. Smile at a neighbor. Check on someone who lives alone. Say more than, "How are you?" And really listen. Because loneliness doesn't always live in silence. Sometimes it lives just across the hallway, waiting for someone to knock. And the beautiful thing? You can be that someone. Coming next, a time when life was simpler. Not because we had less, but because what we had was enough. Thing 6, simpler living, less stuff, more meaning. Coming up, a life with fewer things, but more time, more meaning, and more peace. There was a time when closets weren't overflowing, when kitchen counters weren't covered in gadgets, and when entertainment didn't mean dozens of streaming subscriptions. We had less, but somehow we felt more. One radio, one TV, a few outfits, a single toy that lasted years, but each item held value, memory, story. Today we live in a world of abundance, but more stuff doesn't always mean more happiness. In fact, it often creates clutter in our homes and in our minds. Simpler living isn't about going backward. It's about choosing what truly matters and letting go of the noise. Try this. Clear one drawer. Give away one thing you haven't used in years. Spend 1 hour doing nothing productive and just enjoy the quiet. Because in the stillness, you might find something you forgot you had. Peace, presence, purpose. We don't always need more. Sometimes we just need less, with love. Coming next, a sound, a feeling, a rhythm that stirred the heart, and still does decades later. Thing 7, music that touched the soul. Coming up, songs that didn't just play in the background, they lived in your heart. There was a time when music wasn't just noise, it was magic. You didn't need a playlist. You didn't need an algorithm. You had the radio, the record player, the dance floor, and the songs, they meant something. Lyrics spoke to your heart. Melodies brought back memories. A single tune could take you back to your first love, a family road trip, or the smell of dinner on a Sunday afternoon. You didn't need to scroll. You just listened, and you felt. Back then, music united people. Couples danced, families sang together, and neighbors turned up the volume to share in the joy. Today, music is everywhere, but often we barely hear it. It's background noise, not a shared experience. But you can bring that old feeling back. Play the songs that meant something to you. Dance in the kitchen. Hum along. Sing even if your voice is rusty. Because music is more than sound. It's memory, emotion, and healing. And the songs that touched your soul once, they still can. Coming next, A time when elders weren't just tolerated, they were treasured. Thing 8. Children respecting elders. Coming up, a time when experience was honored, and age was a source of pride, not shame. There was a time when growing older didn't mean being forgotten. It meant being respected. Children stood when an elder entered the room. They listened. They asked questions. They didn't roll their eyes. They looked up. Grandparents weren't just old. They were wise. They held the stories of the family, the lessons of life, and what they said carried weight. Back then, the elderly weren't pushed aside. They were the center of the circle, not outside of it. Today, too many seniors feel invisible, left out of conversations, ignored at the table, seen as outdated instead of essential. But age is not something to hide. It's something to honor, and it starts with how we see ourselves, not as old, but as keepers of wisdom. If you're a grandparent, speak your truth. If you're a senior, share your stories. And if you're younger, listen. Because when we teach respect for age, we teach respect for life. Coming next, a quiet practice that once anchored entire families and brought peace, even in chaos. Thing 9, faith, prayer, and spiritual routine. Coming up, a simple ritual that brought comfort, clarity, and connection every single day. There was a time when faith was woven into the rhythm of life. You didn't need a cathedral or a sermon. Sometimes it was just a whispered prayer before bed, a hymn sung quietly while washing dishes, a candle lit in the morning, or a moment of silence before a meal. Back then, people turned to something greater, not only in crisis, but in daily life. Faith gave people strength, stability, and hope. It reminded them that they weren't alone, no matter what they were facing. Today, life can feel noisier, faster, more uncertain. And in that rush, many have lost the small spiritual habits that once grounded them. But they can return, gently, quietly, powerfully. You don't have to follow a tradition or religion. You just need a moment each day to center yourself. A prayer, a verse, a deep breath, a few words of gratitude. It's not about rules. It's about remembrance, because the soul needs care too. And when you make time to connect to your faith, to your spirit, to something deeper, you don't just survive the day, you rise with it. Coming next, the simplest habit of all, but maybe the most powerful one we ever had. Thing 10, saying thank you and I love you. Coming up. Two simple phrases that once shaped families, healed hearts, and brought people closer. There was a time when people said thank you and meant it. When I love you wasn't reserved for special occasions. It was part of daily life. We said it before bed, before someone left the house. We wrote it in letters, whispered it over dinner. Sometimes we said it without words, through a touch, a gesture, a warm glance. Back then, love wasn't assumed. It was expressed. Today, we assume people know. We're busy, distracted, awkward with words. And before we know it, time passes, and we wish we'd said more. But it's never too late. Call someone today. Say thank you for something they may have forgotten. Say I love you, even if it feels vulnerable. Or say it to yourself. Thank you for making it this far. I love you for who you are, not just who you've been. Words don't need to be perfect. They just need to be true. Because when spoken with heart, even the smallest sentence becomes a gift. Don't wait for a reason. Say it now. Say it often. Because kindness never expires. And love, real love, is always worth the words. Coming up, one final message to carry with you, and a gentle reminder of what truly matters most. Conclusion. So, how many of these touched your heart? Because the truth is, life isn't just about what we have. It's about what we remember, what we keep, and what we pass on. The world may have changed, but that doesn't mean we have to let go of the things that made it better. We can still write letters. We can still sit down for dinner. We can still slow down, sing old songs, and say, I love you, without hesitation. And no matter how old we are, we can still teach the world how to live with meaning. If this video stirred something in you, please let us know in the comments. Share your favorite memory, or tell us which of these things you still carry with you. If you believe this message matters, share it with someone you love. You never know who's waiting to feel seen, remembered, or simply understood. And if you'd like more gentle videos like this about life, age, wisdom, and what really matters, subscribe to Elderly Minds. We're here for you every step of the way. Thank you for remembering with us, and thank you for still being here, because the past may be gone, but its light still lives in you.